mention. Date table. So in Power BI, what happens in Power BI desktop? It creates the date table automatically. Whenever you load the data set into your Power BI desktop, what happens is behind the scene, in case you have any date columns are there in your table, behind the scene, for each date column, Power BI creates the date table automatically. Supposing if I have 10 date columns, for each date column, it creates a separate date table. Okay. So one way it is good. We don't have the headache of creating the date table, but the disadvantage is it creates as many date tables as the date column you have in your data model. That is not the preferred one. If you have 10 date columns, for each date column, if it creates separate table, you end up with having 10 different date table. It will slow down your performance. Okay. And yeah, so now the question is, do I need to have a date table? Why do I need to have a date table? So you must have at least one date table in your model. Instead of having the automatic date table, it is not the best practice to use the date table created by your Power BI desktop. Instead, create your own date table. Okay. So, okay, to create a date table on my own, so what are the guidelines that I need to follow? Your date table should have at least one date column. It should be a date data type or datetime data type. And this date column supposed to contain unique values, no duplicate values. Same date should not be repeated. Date column must not contain blanks. It should not have any blank values, null or something like that. A date column must not have missing dates. What do you mean by missing dates? It's not about blanks. For example, first September you made a sale. 2nd September you did not make a sale. 3rd September you made sale. Since I did not make any sales on 2nd September, I am going to skip the record. So I'm going to have only 1st September, 3rd September. That will not work. There should not be any gap. That is what the 4th point tells. Whether you have sales on 2nd September or not, you still need to have 1st September, 2nd September, 3rd September. Contiguously, you need to store the date. The date column must span full years. The year isn't necessarily a calendar year. Okay, date column must span full years. Okay, for example, we have started the business on March itself, but still it should span the full years. So starting from 1st Jan to till this year end. Okay, that is the rule you need to follow. And once you follow all these guidelines, and finally you need to mark your newly created date table as a date table, so that it will become a date table. Okay. So in that case, what will happen once you mark it as a date table, and also there is a setting in Power BI desktop. I will show you now. If you go to the file menu and then if you click on the options and settings, and when you click on the options, it's wait for some time. What happened? It still takes time. It will be a little bit slow. So you have something called date table, automatic date table option. You need to go and uncheck. The default one is checked one. You need to uncheck it. Look here the data load. And here, so look here, you're some auto date time, right? Time intelligence, the data load. Okay, you need to uncheck it. If you don't want the default date table creator, once you uncheck it, when you click on OK, all the date columns created automatically, that one will get dropped automatically. So anyhow, I'm not going to change it anything. I'm going to click on cancel. Because let's say if you ask me the question, okay, can I see the date table created by Power BI automatically? Here, no, you cannot see it. We have something called DAX Studio. If time permits, you can go ahead and download and install it. It is open source. And install it. Once you install it, you will find something like DAX Studio, DAX Space Studio, and click on DAX Studio. And it will open up the DAX Studio tool. It is absolutely free. You can use it as long as you want. There is no limitation with the timeline and all. Okay. and here DAX Studio. And if you see here, it will ask a table or server or PBI. So simply click on the PBI. Okay, don't worry about this one. So here I have opened multiple report file, which many-to-many relationship, right? So here you need to select the correct report file. So in this case, I've opened multiple report file. If you see here, look here, data vision part 2, part 1, many-to-many relationship. In this case, which report file you want this DAX Studio to be connected? So this one has to connect with many-to-many, and then click on connect and wait for some time. It will bring up all the tables and all the other objects that are part of that many-to-many relationship report file. You can see that local date. Look here, these are the automatic date table created with Power BI itself. Look at date. Here we have seen that 2, 3, 4, 5 tables got created for 5 different date columns. For each date column, if it creates separate date table, it is not worthwhile, right? If you right click on it, and if you see the preview data, it will show all the, look here, you have only one data, and here you have something like this. If you click on the preview data, you can see like so many things are there again, and you have another thing here and preview data. Look here, so many things are there, right? So you don't want, I'm going to close the DAX Studio because it literally slowed on everything. Already I've opened many things. So in DAX Studio, you can see the automatically create the date table. It is not required. Go to the file menu, click on the options and settings, and again click on the options, data load, click on it. On the right side, you will find the automatic data. You can just uncheck it once you uncheck it and click on OK, what will have all the automatically created date tables will get dropped. That you can find it in your DAX Studio also. Okay, and what you need to do is you need to create a custom table, date table. That look here, in this case, I'm going to use this report file. So here you can see the dim date. How to create the date dimension table now. Okay, look here, this is my, there is a function called calendar function using which you can create the date table. So what this calendar function does is, first argument, suppose your start date and end date. Between which date to which date you want me to create a calendar date. So here, what we do is the first date supposed to be your minimum date. Okay. So in this case, the sales W04 data set, I have an order date column. So I applied minimum on this, and it will compute the least date, and then it computes the highest date, maximum. So between the least order date to highest max recent order date, we generate the date. So this calendar function, what it does is, based on the start and end date, in this case, the least order date and recent order date, it generates a column called date column. The date column, you will find all these things like, for January, all the things. Look, if you see here, all the values are sequentially stored. Whether you have done a transaction or not, it will show all the values in sequence, and it spans the full years. Okay, and once you have this column, it is your responsibility to extract year from this date column, month separately in another column, and month name and quarter likewise. Whatever the additional date related columns you can create it with this column itself. How did I create the year column? So there is a function called year function. The date I passed it as an argument to my, look here, the year is a function, dim date of date. What is the dim date? Is my table name. This column, I passed it as an argument. It automatically extracted the year. Similarly, I have another column called another function, month. Month of this date column gives me month alone. Look here, 1st January. So January is first month, right? So 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. You can see it here. When it comes to February, you can see 2, 2, 2, 2. The same way, when you click on the month name, you can see format. There is a function called format, and you specify this date column, and then you need to specify in order to display the month in terms of text. And similarly, there is a quarter function is available. You need to pass the date column as an argument. Look here, this is the one as an argument here. Okay, and it will give you the quarter automatically, so you don't have to break your head. With these functions you can do it. Okay, so using calendar function, you can create your own custom date table. So in this case, the custom date table, I have named it as a dim date. In real life scenario, when you get into a real time project, you will find something like dim date or dim underscore date. dim underscore date underscore time, right? Sometimes they will store the date also separately. Sorry, the time also they store it separately. But if you see here in the, the date dimension table, you will have more columns, okay? Here you weekday and fiscal, fiscal year and calendar. These are calendar year, calendar, and then the fiscal year and all, it will display here. Everything, you will have it. That we will take a deep dive when we discuss about time intelligence topic, okay? As part of DAX. So hope you understood what is date table and what are the guidelines for creating date table. What are the disadvantages of the automatic date table? How to disable the automatic date table, right? And using the property. And finally, in the case of the custom date table, for example, here, in this example, if you go to the model here, model tab, and you can find the dim date table. Where is the dim date table? I just go on towards the left side and dim date table, right? You select this table, dim date table. When you select it in the properties, if you scroll down here somewhere, dim date and select a row label, and look, sorry, not there, and in the three dot, right next to the three dot, mark as a date table. You can click on this, it will become a date table. Okay, for the time being, I'm not going to do that. So once you create a custom date table, you need to make sure that you are going and specifying mark as date table, mark as it, so that this one will serve as a date table. And also make sure that you go to the file menu and options and settings options, and in the data load, property, you will find the, on the right side, you'll find the automatic date table. You uncheck it and then hit the OK button. All the automatic date table will get dropped. This one will get served as a date table. Okay. So we understood how to what is the disadvantages of advantages and disadvantages using automatic date table, and how to create a custom table. Why we need to create the custom date table also we discussed, and also I explained you how to use the calendar function to create a custom date table, and what properties you need to use it in order to set as a date as date table. Okay.